Hey, I'm Darren, and today we're going to build picture frames that are a Christmas present for my wife. My wife found a series of paintings by an artist that she really liked, and I procured 7 of them from the internet. Don't ask me how. And I printed them out. I took measurements, wrote them all down as to what sizes they were, did a little calculation to try to figure out how much wood I needed, and I figured I needed 3 8-foot sections. I decided to use pine, which ended up being a mistake. Here I'm routing a groove in it for the back of the frame. And there was a lot of tear out during that groove. That's why I wouldn't use the pine again. And then I measured and I cut the sides beveled. And after I cut these, I decided that I wanted a chamfer in them. So I ran them through the table saw just to cut an edge on it. Give it a little detail other than just the flatness. I have some corner clamps to use for the frames, but I don't really like them. They don't hold very well, and I have found that just using the square works just fine. I squared it up, put some glue on it, put a nail in each side. You have to be careful when nailing it, because if you put it on the same level, it'll bounce off the nail that's already in there and it goes all over the place. One thing I don't have as a woodworker is patience. So I dumped the hand sanding and grabbed the orbital and sanded that way. Probably not the best method, not the most precise, but I had 7 frames. I was very ambitious with what I decided to do here. So I sanded all the edges down, got them smooth. What I did is to paint it is I put a coat of black on, let that dry, then I dusted it with some brown, and then let that dry, and then I came back with the black again and dusted it with the black, and that gives it just a little bit of brown sheen. You almost can't really see it. Here I use some software to lay out the glass sizes and find out how many sheets of plexiglass I needed. They were 18 by 24, and I needed 2 sheets and would have a lot of spare. So I marked it on here, and I'd cut this stuff before using my angle grinder and a cutting wheel. And here I started going the wrong way and like an idiot. But it does a lot of melting whenever you cut it. It makes kind of a mess out of it. But it does cut it, and it's easy. It's not always easy to go straight, but you can clean it up. Even that rough edge from where it melts, you can clean it up. I use a drum sander, and cleaned that up. And then the edge I got crooked, so I thought I'd try to throw it through the bandsaw, and it worked so great that I thought, wait, this is way easier. So I decided to cut as much as I could on the bandsaw. Oh, that's unhappy. Since I did not have another band for the bandsaw, I had to do the rest with the grinder. And I just marked them out, laid them out like I had on the sheet, and that came out of the software. And I cut them. I then took the prints, and I had printed on pretty thick photo paper, kind of a satin finish, and I would measure the inside of the frame where the grooves were and try to cut the print down to fit inside of that. Once I got it to the right size, I had some poster board, just straight up poster board, that I'd draw the size out on and use some spray adhesive on the poster board and glue the print to it, and that just gave it a little bit of bulk and a little thickness so it wouldn't warp and wrinkle inside the frame. Then I had some mat board. It's pretty thin mat board, not super thick. I did the same thing. I traced out the size on there and cut out the main board. And then I was only going to put about 1/4 of an inch of mat inside the frame. So once I got it the right size, I placed the mat inside of the frame, flipped it over, and marked the corners. And then I measured 1/4 of an inch in from each mark, and I knew that was my inside dimensions to cut out. Now I'm just using a razor blade and a straight edge to cut these mats. Complete amateur move. I don't have a mat cutter. It did not make the cleanest of cuts, and my finger still hurts after doing this. I spent the whole afternoon cutting mats. It took a lot more time than I would have thought. And then I had 6 more to do just like it. Cannibalized a couple of broken frames that we had to get those picture holders on the back. I didn't have enough, so I put 2 on each frame and then used hot glue on the corners to try to hold it in there. And I have 7 frames. Late and not perfect, but there they are. Thanks for watching.